remember because I know that Monday 17 is going to be my first chemo, and I've always had this really long hair and my hair is always colored, but in preparations to the first chemo I went to give myself a short haircut, and I remember my haircut, it turns out to be very nice. And I never had short hair because I've always had this very squarish face and I thought I don't look good in short hair. So this is the very first time in the longest year for the last 2 decades that I had my hair cut. So after I cut, I feel good because the hair really looks good on me. I remember posting on Facebook and I received a lot of comments that, wow, your hair looks good on you. But of course no one knows yet that what I'm going to be going through. I had a good lunch with my husband and I started the chemotherapy in the morning. I was told the drugs are Herceptin and Perjeta, and that chemotherapy kills all the good cells and bad cells. So I remember going in the morning 8:30, and whereby I have to do a blood test first before they inject me with the chemo drugs. So the chemo drugs was just injected into my left hand. I asked how many bags were they, so it was like about 8 to 10 packets of the drugs. And I remember lying down, resting and sitting down there, receiving the chemo drug. And not long, I feel very drowsy, and I think that's what the drugs do for me, on me, and I fell asleep, and half a day is gone. So this is a session that is usually a couple of hours because of a lot of drugs that go into the body. So it ended around 12 o'clock in the afternoon. I have to do this for 6 cycles, and it's once every 3 weeks for a total of 18 weeks, about 4.5 months. I would say that at first you don't feel anything. You don't feel anything because the drugs are still being inputted into your body, and there's no pain. So I was told it's because that I'm given steroid, and the steroid can last me for 2 days, different kind of medicines to take for nausea, for vomiting, for feeling unwell. So the first day and second day, actually I still find I'm okay. I guess what kicks in was the third day onwards, where I just feel so tired, just fatigued, and just want to sleep all the time, and just want to lie down. And I'm constantly feeling unwell, and had all the symptoms like running nose, coughing, uneasiness. So this cycle went on for 6 times, is similar. So remember, there are 3 weeks for each cycle, right? So the first 2 weeks were my literally darkest moments. I can feel like the whole world is like, how come it's so grey and dark? So that's what the chemo is doing to your body. It's just working to kill the cancer cells, I guess. So there are symptoms such as loss of appetite or no appetite, and don't feel like eating. It's because nothing tastes the same at all. The taste that I used to taste no longer tastes the same. The food doesn't taste the same. So I was told that it's because of the chemo that goes through your tongue, your metallic taste. You will experience that. And when I personally experienced that, I really felt so terrible. I enjoy mala, spicy, and the slightest spicy taste, very spicy to me. A tiny little spicy taste, very spicy to me. That's when I know that those are the effects that I'm experiencing. But what I don't like as well is that I need to eat. I love to eat, but I can't eat because the food doesn't taste the same, and doesn't taste tasty, doesn't taste nice. And I think no one can understand except those who perhaps went through the same thing as I do. It's almost like forcing the food into your mouth. It's such a terrible feeling. It's so terrible. And I can't cry because it doesn't help. I just have to be patient and wait for this first 2 weeks to be over, because when there's darkness, right, there's always light at the end of the tunnel. So the end of the tunnel always comes on the third week of every cycle, whereby the third week is where perhaps I flush down a lot of the chemo drugs, and the third week is also when my body is ready for the next chemotherapy cycle. So the third week is always, I feel so good about things, I feel normal and I feel more active and more energetic, whereby the first 2 weeks of the chemo period was really just downtime. Just want to roll up in the bed, I don't want to see anyone. A lot of people tell me that you will start losing your hair, even your eyebrow, perhaps from the first cycle, but some people will be later on. So personally for me, I start losing hair from my second to third chemotherapy, perhaps more on the third. And if you ask me what do I regret doing, was that perhaps going for one more round of hair wash before my third chemo. And I regretted doing that because I always enjoy hair wash. I'm not sure about you, but since I'm not gonna, when I have bald hair or when I'm brought up, right, I don't think I will go for hair wash. So I did a few rounds of hair wash before the first cycle, second cycle, and I thought I can do one last one before my third chemotherapy. But it was a bad move, it was a bad decision, because I was losing very little hair, perhaps 10-20% during the first and second chemotherapy. But prior to the third chemotherapy, I went for the hair wash by professionals, right, in a hair salon. And little did I know that when they washed my hair, a whole chunk, I would say up to 50% of my hair was being cool and washed away. I think it's by no choice, because when you wash, the actions of washing or the hair shampoo or whatsoever, perhaps it just escalate, the hair drops very fast or hair fall. So by the time I finished washing my hair and the blow dry, I was kind of like, what is happening? In fact, when they were washing it, I can feel that how come, like, stuck, when they wash, it wasn't that smooth. That's when I know that, okay, a huge chunk of hair has gone. But it's by the time the hair was blow dry, I can see almost 50%. My tears just dropped, my heart just sank. I kind of like cursing and swearing at this salon what they have done to my hair, but I can't blame them because it's a decision that I make. So by the time I went through the third sessions and fourth sessions and up to the fifth sessions, perhaps on the fourth session I kind of like dropped to 70-80%. I kind of like tell myself, perhaps my dropping of hair is not that fast, I'm still enjoying without the wigs, the hair wigs and the fake hair. But little did I know that I can't hide anymore. So my hair start to drop very little, like the lot of the rings, there's this little monster creature, precious. So I look like that little monster when my hair was at that moment. And I know some people, they do shave their hair all the way to bald, but I decided not to. I want it to drop naturally. It's just a decision that I make. So I can see if I'm ugly, I know I'm ugly, but how uglier can I get? So I cannot get any uglier by the time I'm fully losing my hair. And by the last chemo, I think I pretty much dropped all my hair, and my eyebrow, my eyelash, pretty much all gone. And I was on complete wigs when I go out, because I still can't bear the thoughts of me going out there in total bald hair. You know how I had nosebleed? And I was like, how come I have nosebleed all of a sudden? And then another time I have nosebleed within the same day, a few times within the same day, was when I kind of like feel there's a dryness in my nose. I went to touch my ear a bit, and I know how usually you might dig a little bit of your nose, and just the simple action of that triggered the nosebleed again. and then I had diarrhea. I think it was my third or fourth cycle. I had a high fever and I have to be hospitalized for 5 days, and I was told that there's this virus called adenovirus, ADENOVIRUS, which is deadly. So if I were to come late, this virus can really make me so weak and can be very deadly. I was told by my family saying that you shouldn't go out so often. And I said, no, I don't go out that often. But do you know what? This virus was passed to me by my little girl who just caught a flu from the school. So when I asked this to the doctor said, yes. So the difference is that you have no or very low immunity, while your girl, they have immunity. So that's the difference between me and them. You can be catching the same virus, but the effect on you can be very different. On different people can be very different. When the day comes, 31st January was my last day of my chemotherapy. I was like, this is it. This is my last chemotherapy, and I'm pretty much done. It's a long, far-fetched journey for me from the first chemo, and I'm on to the last one. So 3 weeks has gone and I thought I would be done, but of course it's not yet over. I'm being prepped for my breast surgery, and I'm given a date, 21st February, 3 weeks exactly from my last chemotherapy.